Hello and welcome to EC&M Asks, a Q&A video series brought to you by EC&M Magazine and found on the members-only section of our website, in which readers pose their most pressing electrical questions and our subject matter experts answer. Hello, my name is Don Kiper. I'm president of Estimating 101. I've been in the electrical industry since 1975. I have 17 years experience in the field, and I've been estimating for 20 years, been an estimating manager for 6 years, and have personally estimated $700 million worth of electrical projects. So let's jump in. Today's question is, what are the best practices for handling RFIs? The day and age in which we're living in, the engineers and architects are designing blueprints and drawings, sometimes 50% complete, 70% complete. And many times the estimator must decide whether they're going to ask the architect a question for clarification. So let's jump in. The contract documents for some projects will lack clarity, and the estimator will have to decide whether they're going to ask the architect a question. The way the estimator handles this is by using an RFI, a request for information. And if the estimator will properly do this, it will help him or her defending their price and their contract with the owner. Many times the estimator is placed into a situation, got to decide very quickly what to do and get clarity. So when the risk is too great and the estimator must decide about asking the architect a question, one thing it will do, it will help keep all contractors on the same playing field. So let's consider these guidelines when submitting an RFI. The first thing is, only ask one question per RFI. Once years ago, I sent in 7 or 8 RFI questions on the same document, and several days passed, over a week passed, and I called the architect, and he said he had answers to those, but he was waiting for one answer back from the owner, and that one waiting held up my other 5 or 6 answers. So I found it best to send in one question at a time. Second thing is send them in as early as possible. Don't wait till close to the bid date. Get them in to the architect as soon as you realize there's something that you need clarity. Number 3, be concise and brief. Choose your words carefully. Be very concise in what you're asking. Number 4, be sure to include the drawing number and the spec section of which the question is about. Number 5, do not try to point out every mistake and every little omission. Some things are just not worth mentioning. You can iron those out if you get a contract where there's very little cost impact. Don't write over minor issues. Number 7, avoid personality conflicts with architects and engineers. Remember, there may be pressure in your office, but there also may be pressure in the architect's office. And so sometimes everybody's running under constraints and pressure, and be very careful to get in personality conflicts and personal comments that might be offensive. This is paramount for me. Number 9, if a supplier or a vendor that I've asked for a price, let's say lighting fixtures or switch gear or something like that, and my vendor or my supplier is asking me a question about what to quote, I direct my vendor exactly to do this. I want my vendor to send me the question exactly and the verbiage and the words if he could ask the architect or engineer himself. So all I have to simply do is copy and paste or forward that vendor's question directly to the architect without Don Kiper trying to interpret and trying to figure out exactly what the vendor was saying. And that will save you a lot of grief in getting straight and good answers. And number 10, I print all copies of my RFIs and the answers, and I put them in an estimate book. When I estimated, I kept a 3-ring binder, and I kept all of this information, my reports, my quotations, and my RFIs, kept them in my estimate book. So handling the flow of the information is vital to the estimator. Be sure to record and document all of these answers and all of these questions because they will be your record. And you'll be able to take those, if you're the low bidder, to a pre-construction meeting or maybe a de-scope meeting in the event that you're the low bidder. So the real key question is, when is it appropriate? So I believe this is the best practice. And when is it appropriate to ask and submit an RFI? First of all, if you cannot quantify it with the contract drawings, the purpose of the contract drawings is to give me the quantity of items, how many light fixtures, how many receptacles, how many air conditioning units to connect, how many electric vehicle charging stations am I going to wire, the quantity. I look at the drawings for the quantity. So if I can't figure out the quantity with the drawings, and if I can't take the specifications, and the purpose of the specifications is to identify the product, the catalog number, and give me the quality of the product. If I can't identify a product with a spec with a catalog number, and that specification does not tell me how to install that product, I must submit a question via using the RFI. If I, as an estimator, can't put this together during the bidding process, if you get the job and you're low bidder and you pass it off to your field, your foreman, your project manager, what are they going to do with it? They're not going to be able to put the pieces together either. And so when you do that, it's going to cost you a whole lot more money and a whole lot more time and a whole lot more wasted labor and energy and loss of profitability. So if it can't be quantified and it can't be identified with the plans and the specs, you must exclude it in your scope. Now, let me say this. There are two types of contracts that you might bid. Maybe you're bidding to a general contractor and you're going to be a subcontractor. You should be able to exclude anything on the drawings. However, if you are bidding to a municipality, let's say a city, a county, a state, maybe a Department of Transportation you're bidding, and you have a contract directly with the owner, you will not be able to exclude these items. So you will need to get clarity and to make sure you know exactly how much money and labor to put in your estimate for an item. Of course, be sure to follow any instructions that the architect may give you on RFI deadlines, forms, procedures, how to submit them. Always follow those instructions. And as an estimator, if I was in doubt of what to do, I would always check with my chief estimator or my owner that I was working for. So it looks like we're out of time today. We'll pick up next time with your more pressing questions. Thank you so much for joining us today for this edition of EC&M Asks, produced by EC&M Magazine, a part of the portfolio of Endeavor Business Media Publications. Tune back in next time for the next episode. Thank you so much and have a great day.